Alright, so this is my recording for engine class. I'm going to clean the solution and then build it. And then once it's done building the clean solution, I will run it and demo how it works and what I've got in and what kind of things I'm working on and looking at implementing later. So right now I've got four different objects drawn on the screen. There is a six-sided object, a cube that Ed had given to us, an eight-sided object down in this bottom row, a 20-sided object up here in the second to top row, and a pyramid on top. Two main problems with the models I'm currently using are the not the normals, the UVs on the 20-sided object need to be modified and corrected. As you can see, with these ones that keep showing up and are just like pinstripe lines, it's because the UV isn't quite right. I was gonna unroll that and see if I could mess around with them and fix them earlier, but I'm kind of running out of time, so I guess that's one thing I'll have to look at doing over spring break next week. The other thing is, it looks like the normals on the D20 is right. I don't think they're quite right on the pyramid up top, though. Way too much of it looks like it's in darkness and can't really be seen. I do have a camera implemented that can be moved and rotated and look up and down. Right now, I've just always got my targets hard set to. Well, I don't have it hard set, but my target is always the origin, so 0, 0. But I can move around and shift using the arrow keys for X and Y shifts and the left and right bracket for Z shift. On top of that, I do currently have two cameras that are implemented, and you can switch back and forth between them. The tilde or gravel accent goes to the other camera, to the second camera, and not the one that the the application automatically starts running, and same controls for that one. And as you can see, they just kind of move around, and this is how it works. What button did I have? So I can also switch back to the other camera, but I don't remember which button I've got set for that right now. Give me just a second. Down. Equal is the one that switches back to the initial camera. I can texture swap, although I forgot to actually put that in my demo, so it doesn't. So while I can texture swap, and it does work, I don't have any demonstrations of it in my demo right now. I can add that in. I might still do that in the next 10 or 20 minutes after I finish up with my video, but the main thing is that I need to get the video done. So for now, I guess I'll be without it, I guess. Same with the rotating the camera instead of just having it always, instead of giving it, same with giving camera controls to rotate the camera. The one thing I was thinking about doing for rotating the camera is having it so that the target is always the mouse location on the on the game window. So I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4 different textures right here. The duckweed TGA, the rocks, the bricks, I believe is what this one was. I don't remember now. And then Ed's CDM picture. I downloaded that and then had it converted to a TGA because now I can have Ed spinning on my desktop whenever I want, and it's wonderful. I was going to put in more objects and stuff just to show the stress testing in that yeah, it works with more than 16 objects. But honestly, I'm tired, so I can do it, but I don't really care to right now. It doesn't need to be done for the most part. As you can see, I can scale in all three directions. None of these are their initial size. I can do variable rotations in all three dimensions, and clearly I can translate and instance things since none of these are moving in the same speeds, or actually some of them are probably rotating in the same speeds. I think I stopped. I think I forgot to change a couple of them. But hey, like I said, I've been working on this a whole bunch the last few days, and I'm kind of tired of working on making nitpicky little changes like that. So this is where I'm at. So now that I've demonstrated the actual engine, I'll show some of the actual code I've got running and how it's working. So if you can see, if you look here, here's all of the creation of my game objects. Actually, I guess I should just start from the beginning. So when it initializes, it calls it initializes a game constructor, which is the game is inherits from the engine class, which is fairly straight up. It's initialize, load, run, unload, and shut down. In the initialize, it initializes the input and camera managers. The other managers I've got, I just kind of let them initialize whenever necessary. But these two I initialize immediately because they're kind of necessary immediately. Although I'm sure I could get away with not calling an initialization on them immediately. Here's my junk to set up the cameras. So it just takes in the height and the width and height for the view and perspective, same thing, along with the near distance, the clip distance, the near clip distance, and the far clip distance. And then this one sets the orientation and position of the camera given an up vector, a target position, and the position of the camera in the world. I then call update on the camera to have it set all the stuff for it, where it's going, how it's looking, all that kind of stuff. And then this is me creating a second camera because my camera manager actually creates the first one, although it doesn't. Realistically, I should move this into the creation, into the initialization of the camera manager so that it immediately has a camera as opposed to putting it into load. And then if I need to set up another camera later, I can do that in here, or right here. And once again, it's the exact same thing as the first camera. So I just create the new camera, set all the junk for it, update it, and then add it to the camera manager. And this was from before I had a camera manager, when I just had a camera, and then I added a camera manager so I could have multiple cameras. Clearly. Here is my uploading of the model files, which are binary files with the number of vertices, then the number of triangles, and then the vertices and the indices for the triangles. And here is and I named them all, the description of the shape cube, pyramid, D8, and D20 for the cube, pyramid, 8-sided octahedron, and the icosahedron. And then dot model, because that way I'd remember that they're actually the models. Otherwise I would completely otherwise I would lose track of them in my folder structure. Although that's another thing I want to do at some point, is clean up my folder structure, so that there's a folder for models and shaders and textures. Right now it's all just kind of in one flat folder, which is ugly and annoys me, but it works for now, I guess. The same thing with this. I plan on eventually moving, basically copying the filter structure I have over here so that it shows the same, so that the file structure within the folder is the same as the filter structure I have here, which would take a little while, I guess, but also still a thing that's probably a good idea and should probably be done in the long run. So then I create my text. This is adding the textures to the texture manager, Rockstone, Brick, Duckweed, and my very pleasant Ed TGA. That kind of shows exactly what's going on and gives us a nice picture of Ed's face spinning kind of creepily, especially because the speeds I've got them spinning at cause gimbal lock, so it kind of flounders eventually, which is what you can see here, where it goes really quick and then kind of flounders. Although it really seemed like it was spinning faster yesterday, but whatever. After that, materials, graphics objects. The materials take a shader because the shader defines the actual GLSL shader, and the material includes that, and then takes care of the OpenGL state and sending the VAO and VBO to the to OpenGL to show that those are the ones being drawn currently. This is a vector for my lighting material, which is this one right here, the material light. Most of my objects are the naming conventions for my objects are fairly obvious in what they are, because duh. Although I realize now that I was dumb and just named something P, so I don't remember which one that is. I think it was going to be my light position, but then later on down here I've got one called light position and light color, because I wasn't thinking and forgot I had those, and those ones are poorly named. So then I create pointers to graphics objects, create a pointer to a game object, and then basically I go through and create a new graphics object for each one, and then a new game object, position, scale, set the position and the scale, and then set the rotation in on any axis it needs to rotate. These each one's independent, and it takes radians. I was gonna say something else. I don't remember what now. So whatever. After that, add it to the game object manager, and then rinse and repeat for as many objects as you want. Wireframes, simple texture, lit texture. Oh, and here's the light position and light color vectors that I was mentioned earlier that I used for my lights, because that was more intelligent than the poorly named P and color up here. And then it just kind of continues for 16 objects over and over and over again. Graphics objects takes a material and a model for creation, and then the game object just takes a graphics object. And then simple stuff. Here's the junk to update the. Here's update the camera manager. Right now, NextCam and PreviewCam just move the head. It only updates the head camera right now. Theoretically, I could do multiple cameras at the same time, I believe. I didn't really try to, but I'm pretty sure I could. I'd have to look at it, though. Just thought about that. Interesting. And then this is to move the camera. Moves the X negative with the left arrow, positive with the right arrow, Y positive with up, negative with down, right bracket is Z positive, and left bracket is Z negative for the camera. And then it runs through the game object manager, and then it calls the game object manager update, which updates all the objects based with their new positions, and game object managers draw after that, because the main is right here. Set the width and the height, and then run, and all run does is initialize this engine, and then calls the initialize function. Preload, this is the pre-initialize and preload are some setup, and then it loads any external stuff. And then while it's still running, it just updates GLFW. It calls update on the engine, which right here. Yeah, and then this is the game update, which, yeah, I already said that. And then game object update is right here, and it just runs through the PCS node. And this is because we put a dummy root in our PCS trees, or at least I do all the time. I just get the child, and then right now I'm just doing it as a flat PCS tree because they're all siblings of each other. Because there's not really anything that is in relationship that has to be in relationship to each other, so it doesn't matter if they're siblings, and it makes it real easy to update everything, and then the draw works the exact same, except you're doing draw instead of update. And then draw, like I said, draw does the same thing. Main. And then once you hit escape, it unloads everything and then closes down GLFW as I move stuff around. The peripheral initialize is just setting the static app equal to this. It's not anything special. And the preload just sets up OpenGL, creates a window, all that stuff. Because for the most part, that shouldn't be getting messed with. It should end up being put out as a library. And this is just a bunch of crap that was externalized from the Super Vital 6 demo. That doesn't get used at all because there's no point in using it right now. There really isn't. Oh, although I need to change this because it will cause a problem. My projection will be wrong if I resize. I think my projection will be wrong. Interesting. I did not know that would slow it down. Oh, yeah, duh, because my projection is wrong now, because it is not, the camera doesn't use info window height, it uses a width and a height. So I should remember to update the game's width and height. Interesting. I completely forgot about that. Yeah. So yeah, that's a thing I'll have to do at some point. I suppose after that, all of my libraries right here: file, GLFW, math, PCS tree, SB6. Here's my camera manager. Guess what? It's simple. Camera creates camera 1. Deletion deletes the first node, deletes the second node, because right now you can only have 2 nodes, and that's all I want people to have right now. Well, I suppose you could actually have more, but you would have to reuse an enumeration, which could potentially be problematic. Well, I mean, right now it wouldn't be problematic, but in the future it could be. I realize I'm droning on really badly. Here's adding a camera. Right now it literally just sets the head equal. It's a front loading. It's a head insertion of a doubly linked list. And I'll change that later so it's uh, more finesse and can search through and actually have more than two cameras, really, because that's with how I do my next camera and previous camera for camera switching. That's your only option. Actually, suppose you could have more, but then you could hit into the problem that I had earlier when I was making the link into a circular list, where since I only do check for presses right now, you can jump around and completely screw up everything. Well, not really screw it up, but you can't, like, if you hit it too many times, you'll hit it'll, if you hold down for more than one frame, it'll switch the camera multiple times because I don't have any way for button press and release. I just have press. Um, Here's my camera an enum for camera names 1, 2, and not initialized. They inherit this camera link class, just for pointers. And then, yeah, perspective, set the perspective, the view, the orientation, get the view and projection. That's for the shaders and materials later. Get the camera's name, get in set position, field of view, near, far, and these are for the frustum, locations, for object calling later. I've got it set up to have normals. I don't have them in yet, because I don't really need them much yet because we haven't started doing object calling. Here's the actual code for it, but none of this is really anything terribly technical, and a lot of it is using the sample camera that Ed gave us, because that made sense. And I mean, you can only change you can't really change a calculation, so whatever. Here's my game objects. Game object manager is add, draw, update. That's all it does, and it's obvious as singleton. My actual game objects inherit a PCS node. Take a graphics object, update. You can get and set in the world. Here's for the angular rotation, and here's the current total rotation and the scale and translation, for where they are now. Magical math stuff. So that you can update the position of the object in the world. Then this get graphics object is used later for the draw, and this is just to set a different graphics object, which I forgot to put a demo in of, but so that you can change the materials on objects, and move and change the translation and change the scale. Graphics objects are right here. There's a graphics object. You render calls the material, state, and draw functions later, in the overall draw function. This is to get the model, get the material, get the world. The world is once again used for the actual materials in their shader step. And you need to get the material for the, what was it? No, wrong one. For the material. Yes? Yeah, to get which materials are, to confirm that you've got the right material running, basically. I did not put in nearly as many asserts as I should have, because I'm lazy. I really should have done that. And then here is my materials, color based on position, wireframes, textures, and lit textures. As I said, these two control the draw state, or the state of OpenGL, and then this one sends the actual VBOs and VAOs. The graphics object actually calls process on its material. And each one has a shader object, which is the actual GLSL shader program attached to it, or the pointer to the GLSL shader program. Models? Models. Here's my, oh, that one doesn't really help. Here's the D20 model, I guess. Here's how I'm creating the VAO, read in the file. This was the main place that I used asserts, mostly because I wanted to make sure I was very careful about reading in the files, because it can get iffy if I'm not. Generating the vertexes, the vertex array, the buffer data. This one was for the UVs. This one is for the no, this one's for indices. This one's for UVs. Right, now I confused myself. Vertices, indices, vertices, UVs, normals. Oh yeah, this is actually generating the buffer for the array buffer for the vertex objects. And then this is running through the indices. Here's all my shader crap. Fairly simple. I mean, once again, you can only read in a shader and create an OpenGL shader so many ways. Basically one. They have one specific way of doing it, and that's it. So there's not really much to do. Same thing with textures. Since I used the TJ, it was fairly simple. I've done that before with graphics too, so I kind of had experience reading in TJs. So yeah, here's the class diagram of my system overall. It's apparently freezing my computer. Jerk. It's large and cumbersome. Most of it's tiny crap. One object, a manager, and the objects it manages. The biggest object right here is the models, the graphics objects, the game objects, all that fun stuff. So yeah, that's my, I stopped running it. That is my game engine, and I'm looking forward to doing animation and rigging and junk next quarter.